Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Top 10 Paid Social Media Advertising Hacks for Driving Off-Premise Sales. My name is Lisa DeFeo Bass. I'm a senior faculty member here at the Catering Institute, and I'm going to be your moderator today. This is the latest edition of our Catering Institute webinar series, catering education webinars that are designed specifically for the restaurant community looking to increase sales in the catering and off-premise space. Earl Dart founded the Catering Institute in order to meet the catering program strategy and education needs of operators, franchisors, franchisees, and vendors in the restaurant and food service industries. Earl has been helping solve multi-unit catering operational challenges for over 15 years, and we feel so privileged to be in a position to serve this amazing community. Before we begin, I'd like to say a special thank you to our partners in education, PepsiCo, Monkey Media Software, and Catering Insights. Our partners are instrumental in working with Catering Institute to provide education and learning resources to the restaurant community in order to help grow the off-premise space. Their support is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. We'd also like to take a moment to thank our certified supply chain partners. These organizations are expanding their services to support the Catering Institute clients and their catering programs. All of our partners have been certified by the Catering Institute and offer valuable support and expertise to our clients. Thanks for all you do. Here at the Catering Institute, we set the standard for catering education and certification for restaurants, and these webinars allow us to share knowledge and expertise. Before we go through the agenda, I want to say a quick hi to my co-moderator and expert panelist, Mike Tyler. Mike specializes in digital media buying, training agencies, advertisers, and resellers on PPC search, display, social and native advertising, conversation optimization, and more. He's also the official Google AdWords seminar leader. He has spoken at events such as AdTech, SMX, SES, Afrotech, AdWords Seminars for Success, Popcorn, SuperZoo, RHD, SEME seminars, SEO class. Mike, you have been a leader in this industry for a long time. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here. Really love having you here, and I'm just blown away by the information and the presentation that you put together for us today. I'm memorized. I was going through the information, and I think that our attendees are just going to really get a lot out of it and enjoy it. So thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. So I'm going to go through the agenda really quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Mike's going to educate us on all of these different areas. I think we're just going to do the top 5, right? We're going to do quality score and social ads, top secret paid social ad strategy, keyword targeting, amazing power of numbers, increased commercial intent using market segments, demographic targeting. Yes?
That's right.
All right. So before you get into this amazing content, would you just do me a favor and tell everybody about War Room and what you guys specialize there?
All right. War Room is our leaders in digital media buying. We help to find, locate, and advertise to your target demographic anywhere they are online, whether they're on the social networks, whether they're searching, whether they're on Inc.com, Huffington Post, wherever they possibly could be. We're finding them and we're delivering your ad to them.
Excellent. So why social advertising?
Great question. Well, it's absolutely extremely powerful. And one of the things that makes it so powerful is the fact that so many people spend a lot of their time there. So today we're going to talk about we're going to start with the top 5 social media advertising to drive off-premise sales for catering. One of the reasons why I think that you should care about this as a restaurant is because that people are spending a ridiculous amount of time doing social networking or microblogging. This is one case study from the Global Web Index from January of this year, and it shows that about 42% of our time is spent online, and it's being spent either on Facebook or Twitter. So 42% of our time spent online is either on Facebook or Twitter. And so if you're a restaurant, you've got to be thinking about how you're going to get your message to where the people are actually spending their time. And if for some reason you're not doing social media advertising, I think today we're going to show you why it's going to be a very, very good idea to start thinking about it.
And doing it the right way, which I think is so important. I mean, the amount of time spent on the kind of knowledge curve, if you will, learning what's right, you really going to save people in this webinar from what I've seen a lot of time.
Absolutely, a lot of time and a lot of money, because we'll get into it a little bit more in the webinar, but you can be either extremely successful if you do it right, or it won't work at all. And I'm going to show you how to do that, how to make it work for you. If we could go to the next slide, please, Lisa. So when we're talking about social media advertising today, I'm going to be very specific. I'm actually going to be talking about only Facebook and Twitter. Now, the reason why I picked these two is because they are the biggest two, obviously. I'm sure all of you out there at least have one of these and you're on it. I know there's other ones out there like Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, and so many others that we could be using. But Facebook and Twitter are the largest by country mile. And they also don't have minimums, so the barrier of entry is very low. Instagram has very large minimums. I think it's $100,000 to get into.
Oh my gosh.
And we are actually one of the very first in North America to become advertisers for Instagram for their advertising channel. And another thing why I picked Twitter and Facebook is because their advertising options are very similar. So they make them easy to compare, and if you learn one, it's very easy to learn another one. Next slide, please, Lisa. One of the things I want to let you know that we're not going to be talking about today is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn can be a very powerful B2B advertising channel. The reason why we're not going to be talking about it today, one of the reasons is the minimums are $5,000. So I wanted to keep this webinar for everyone. So if you're not willing to throw $5,000 a month at one particular channel, then LinkedIn is not for you. And as well as a lot of people on LinkedIn they're primarily looking for jobs, or they're looking for other people. It's not really a place where people are thinking about eating food. And so that's another reason why I didn't want to include LinkedIn. But as I show in this graph, LinkedIn has a huge growth potential. There's a massive amount of growth potential there for you. So maybe in the future, we'll see a little bit more opportunity there. Moving on to my first social ad hack for takeout, delivery, and catering, and it has to do with quality score. And the reason why I want to start here is because this is where everything begins. This is what's going to drive how you create your ads, and it's going to help you set the strategy. Quality score revolves around relevance. So if you've read any of my blogs, or if you've followed me on social platforms, you know here at War Room, we are absolutely obsessed with quality score. We're obsessed about getting high quality scores for our clients, and we think about it every day and night. It's top of mind and something we're really excited about. And quality score has been huge in Google for a long time, but we're now starting to see it on social platforms, and it's beginning to play a huge role. And it will. So if you don't know what quality score is, in a nutshell, it's all about relevance. So how relevant is the ad to you at the moment in time? If you had just had a baby, and as a restaurant, you could now advertise to somebody, say, here, or if you're about to have a baby, here's a baby shower, cater your next baby shower with us. The keywords are all relevant to that idea. When they hit a landing page, the landing page is communicating the same thing. It's all about a catered meal at a baby shower. So this whole cohesive experience that user gets from that advertising will give you a high quality score. And high quality score means lower ad costs and more engagement. Your ads will be placed in front of other people, and you're going to pay a lot less for that. So if we move on to the next slide, there's a quick graph of what advertiser 1 is doing everything to make a high quality score. Their cost per click is $1.61. Advertiser 4 is doing nothing to have a high quality score. Their max bid is $8, so it's more than double, even triple advertiser 1, and they have the highest cost per click. It's going to be over $5 for them. So we want to make sure that we get our quality score in line. Next slide, please, Lisa. So in a nutshell, higher post engagement equals higher relevancy score or higher quality score. Higher relevancy score means more impression share and lower cost per engagement. Next slide, please, Lisa. It equals the same thing on Twitter as well. It's the same idea here. Twitter just recently got into what they refer to as a quality adjusted bid. It's basically exactly the same thing. The higher your advertising is engaging, the more user friendly it is, the lower you're going to pay for that, and the higher it's going to be put in front of everyone else's ads.
So Twitter and Facebook will kind of let you know where you are as in terms of your quality score. Is that like a report they offer you? How does a restaurant company find out where their quality score is?
Absolutely. If you go to the previous slide, I have a screenshot of an example within Facebook, and you can see that would be in the reporting backend where you're working your advertising. Shows your actions, clicks, CTR, which is click-through rate, impressions, and on the right we have a relevancy score. So right now it's showing for this particular one that we had high positive feedback, low negative feedback, and our relevancy score is 7. I believe on Facebook it's a 1 through 10 relevancy score. So 7 is great. It's really high, and that's what we like to see.
So do you negotiate your ad prices based on your relevance score and your quality score, or do they have kind of set pricing for their?
How they price it out is through an algorithm. So if you go to the slide after this one,
Got it.
here's where we did a test because I wanted to know that exact answer. But Twitter and Facebook aren't openly sharing what their algorithm is, obviously. But these quality score algorithms are really important, and understanding the internal mechanics of how they work is crucial. If you understand it, you can exploit it. And in order to get the maximum return on investment for your paid social ads, you need to learn how to exploit this. So with the graph here, I wanted to quantify just how important quality score is. This is all internal war room research, by the way. But obviously, Facebook and Twitter, they're not giving us exactly what the formula is. So we just did some internal research. But what I can tell you here is that for both Twitter and Facebook, as engagement rate increases, and that's the rate in which people are engaging with the ads, which means they're promoting it, they're favoriting it, they're replying, they're retweeting, they're clicking, any of those social actions, this increases the engagement rate. As that increases, the discount applied to your effective cost per click goes down. So the more engaging it is, the more of a discount you're getting on your advertising. So here from left to right, we have our engagement rate. So at the bottom, we have 0%, 2%. We're actually seeing ticks there to 2% to up to 14% in our test here. And then from bottom to top is our cost per click and discount. So it goes from a 10% discount up to, looks like a 75% discount in this test. And you can see down at when we created posts that were intentionally to be low engaging posts, low engaging advertising, we noticed our discount varied anywhere from 20 to 40% on our advertising. Now, as we worked up the scale and we created advertising that we knew would be more engaging, we could see that our discount, cost per click discount, went up significantly, up to 75% more. And so this was how we were able to quantify it, was to start doing some tests. And in the back end, if we move to the next slide, it'll actually show you what your cost per engagement is, and this is how we were able to market. So what does all that mean? Well, here's an example of how big of a difference this makes when we ran 4 campaigns specifically to test it. Here at the top, we can see an ad that had an engagement rate of 68%. So this was a high engagement test, as you can see. We were able to achieve a cost per engagement of 1 penny.
Wow.
Right? That's incredible.
So is the engagement rate measured, just to clarify, so is the engagement rate measured by taking a percentage of the people that actually see it and then they click on it? That's engagement when they click on it.
Exactly. Anyone who sees it and then engages with it. So in the social realm, it can mean anything from retweeting, liking, However, they give you a multitude of options with how somebody can actually engage with your advertising.
Great, thanks.
Um, and so as this engagement rate goes up or comes down, you can see that the cost per that engagement goes up.
Mm.
So at the top where we have a high engagement rate, we see a cost per engagement of 1 penny. Now, if you look at the bottom, we can see that we have a low engagement rate of 7%, and that our cost per engagement is 8 cents. So that's 8 times 1 penny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've seen a lot lower engagement rates than this. When your engagement rates reach 1% or 0.5%, which happens a lot, especially with people that don't do social advertising or don't really know what they're doing, that cost actually goes up to $2 or $3 per engagement. So there's huge discounts or huge penalties based on the engagement rates of your ads. Of course, this makes a ton of sense. Why? Because we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and these companies don't want advertisers to be sponsoring or promoting junk.
Right.
People generally find that annoying, and I think that was one of the biggest worries when Facebook
Mm-hmm.
started to monetize itself. People were like, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to be bombarded by all this junk advertising," and they were scared of it. So it really comes down to um, the engagement, and we see it with AdWords, we see it with Bing, we see it with all the other platforms. The data shows that we're starting to see that Twitter is doing it, and I cannot not emphasize how much relevance matters within your overall digital strategy on these platforms. The difference is on the social platforms, the leverage is so much bigger. In Google AdWords or Bing or Yahoo, you can find the cost per click will vary from 50% to minus 400% based on your quality score. But here, we're seeing minus 10,000% depending on engagement. And that is huge. You could be paying $3 for an engagement, or you could be paying a penny or less than a penny. So quality score is obviously important. It's important for your advertising cost. But the other thing is that these quality metrics on Facebook and Twitter impact is the impression share, which is how frequently or aggressively those ad servers on Facebook and Twitter are going to actually show your ads to people. And so this graph here is very typical. What you'll see when you run either a Facebook or Twitter campaign is that you post an update and sponsor that update. You post that ad, and you let it persist for a week or 2 or 3. It gets stale because it's no longer fresh. And so what happens is that the engagement rate on that post will decline over time, and your ad will show less and less and less until eventually putting it out when it deems not relevant at all. So not like AdWords where you can run an ad forever and ever and ever. You actually have to change up your ads every couple of days or at least every week or so that this graph of this campaign on Twitter will stay flat or hopefully go up if you're doing it right. But you can see here as a test, we just let it run. And that impression share just gets dropped and dropped. They stop showing the ad. Until the very last week, it drops about 75%, and they almost kill it altogether.
Mm.
So quality score is crucial, not only to ROI, getting the most return on your investment as an advertiser, but also to making sure you're reaching your target audience. So not only does it affect that, but it also, from a holistic point of view, it's going to make your advertising more engaging. And you can use it across other platforms. Once you see what's engaging in the social networks, it's going to tell you how you can direct your advertising everywhere else as well. It's a great place to test. So, of course, I believe in quality score, and I hope after this you do too. It matters, it's crucial to take into consideration, and it should be driving your digital advertising strategy. All right, so let's move on to number 2. This has to do with a strategy we like to do. It's based on probing and measuring your audience. How do we do that on a social platform? Well, it's very similar to leveraging the fact that it's thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of people you can get their feedback right away instantly. You have to tweet and you'll have to post more updates on your Facebook and Twitter pages. And then you pick what is engaging more and you'll post that and you'll turn those into ads and make that your what is driving your ads. So basically what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the fact that quality score exists on Twitter and Facebook, and we're going to use that to our advantage to inform our social advertising strategy. So when we talk a little bit more about that, the part of this means is letting go of the idea of promoting or creating junk ads. So there's what you as a marketer want to talk about, and then there's what people are interested in consuming. And so you have to find this happy medium between what people are both interested in and what is relevant to your business. Where things get off the rail, sometimes I see companies, they just want to talk about themselves and they do things that are very overtly self-promotional. Mm-hmm. And nobody cares about that. And of course, nobody engages with that. And so it does very badly. And people start to think, oh my goodness, social ads don't work, or this is not working. Well, it does work, and the success you can have is astronomical if you can just stop promoting junk ads. So what does this all mean? Well, let me give you an example. For us at War Room, we will typically throw small budgets. We're talking $200 or $300, or as little as $5 to promote our top 1% of social posts, as well as our clients' top 1% of social posts. I use ours as an example. Usually sometimes we can't share what our clients are doing in certain cases, so just to be safe, I'm going to use what we're doing. Here's what we did back in March. We wrote a post about Google Plus and how poorly it was doing as a social platform. We tied it back into what we were doing because social platforms and we do social advertising, we were able to bring it all in together, cohesive, and posted it on our social platforms like Twitter and Facebook, and it did very well. It had huge engagement rates. This was all organic engagement. This was not promoted at all. And we got something like 18 to 20% of people who were looking at this post, clicking through on the link, and they were viewing it, they were expanding it, they were commenting on it, they were replying, retweeting, and favoriting it. And we thought, wow, this is very interesting. Let's turn it into an ad. And so we set up a quick campaign and promoted it. And because it was the 1% top of our content we shared, lo and behold, it got almost 1,500 retweets within the next couple of hours. 1,500 in a couple of hours, which turned into 100,000 views on our blog for a total investment of $250. That is a very, very leveraged investment of $250. For us, we can quantify every 10,000 visitors to our website equals a sale, so that equals 10 sales for us. That's huge. $250 for 10 sales, we'll take it. That's the power. So if you can imagine, if you're trying to drive traffic to your restaurant's website through banner ads that will definitely cost more than $250 to generate that much noise, you can already see how how much you can leverage this strategy. So then the question becomes, how do you know which Facebook updates to promote or which Twitter updates to promote? And the answer is analytics. You can always go in and use these tools. They have an export capability, so you can export all the data, all the stuff you've been posting, and figure out what updates are doing best. You can move it around, take a look at it in different ways, and it becomes obvious. Your consumers, your target audience is telling you how they want to be advertised to. So use the power of analytics to figure out what the best stuff is to promote. The idea here is with social advertising not to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, but to use the leverage that they're giving you. Post more often, promote the best stuff. That's the strategy. The more you post, the more you create content and share it out with that audience, the more stuff you have that they're going to tell you, this is great, this is great, this is terrible. And then you know how to advertise to them.
Have you seen like a successful restaurant strategy that you just described? Use the strategy that you just described in terms of posting something and then taking advantage of the interest or the trends or the impressions that that post got?
Absolutely. A lot, especially a lot of the bigger companies like Pizza Hut and there's another company I can't think of, but I know what the strategy was that using things that were relevant in the industry to tie into their advertising. For example, Pizza Hut used somebody was trolling them on the internet, telling them how terrible their pizza was, and next thing you know, Pizza Hut decided to create a whole social campaign on it, have the CEO show up on their doorstep with a fresh pizza, and the goal there was to try and change this mind of this person, and now they love Pizza Hut. And,
That's funny.
another example was the FIFA scandal that was recently happening, where um, all the people that were in head, there were some issues with money and how it was being handled, and so there was a joke that one of the companies made that they were diving, that they when they got when they were served to go to court, they dove because of course soccer players like to dive a lot, and they tied that in with their marketing, and that people were diving for their food, and so it's amazing to see all these companies now start realizing how powerful this strategy is and getting on board. So we're here at number 3, and this is all about keyword targeting and the power of hashtags. This one is exclusively for Twitter. Um, and with Twitter, you can target your ads based on hashtags. And I'm going to tell you right now why that's important. Um, in Google AdWords, which is search ads, you target by keywords, and it's very caveman-like English. For example, to sell catering to a wedding party, you would put in something like this in your keyword targeting: food, party, wedding. I call that caveman English because nobody talks like that, but that's how people search in Google. But in Twitter, people speak more conversationally because that's how they're talking to each other. So the method of targeting them in their keywords is going to be as such. It's going to be more conversational. Uh, Rather than wedding, food, party, it might go something like Julian's wedding reception, or my sister's getting married, or I just asked my girlfriend to marry me, or my office is catering lunch, as opposed to lunch, catering, office. So you just got to think in terms of what are the conversations that are happening that you can target and put your advertising in front of to take advantage of those conversations, because the conversations are happening live. And so if you can get in those and put your ads in front of people as that conversation is happening, it's hugely powerful. And one of the most powerful types of keyword targeting you can do on Twitter is hashtag, because of the swell of interest that happen around hashtags, especially trending hashtags. For example, we did one right after Game of Thrones finale. We posted a funny joke about Game of Thrones, and what we did is we included a hashtag, all the Game of Thrones hashtags, and it got a ridiculously high engagement. Now, this is something that you could do as a restaurant, because people, when they're having nights out, Game of Thrones parties, you could be catering those parties. And so you could be getting into these conversations with your advertising. And just as an experiment, we promoted a tweet for just $5. It got a 48% engagement rate because it was targeted to these particular people. We used the hashtag, and these people are so passionate about this topic, of course they wanted to engage with it because they're interested in this kind of stuff. And it's incredible how you can get hundreds of thousands of views for just a few dollars. And as you can see there, we had almost 800 retweets. And a retweet, anytime one person retweets it, it now goes out to their entire network. So imagine, go ahead.
And that's free, right? Those retweet.
All those are free. They cost you nothing. So imagine creating promotions around these trending social. Cater your next Game of Thrones party. Don't miss the season finale. Stay in and order takeout. So jumping on bandwagon, so to speak, of these trending topics, they can be extremely powerful for advertisers. And we've seen it done in traditional media. So this particular strategy is no isn't a new concept to successful advertising, but being able to leverage it in social realms is new. And being able to take these hashtags and implement it and take that strategy that's worked before in traditional mediums and apply it into a social medium is extremely powerful.
So, Mike, if a restaurant company was going to um, contact Facebook or Twitter, would
Mhm.
they, or Twitter really, would they say, here's some conversations that I would like to be linked to, or is it or does Twitter say, what's your product and services? These are conversations that we should target. Like, how does that engagement work?
Um, Twitter and Facebook, it's difficult to actually talk to them.
Oh,
So you just kind of have to sign up to advertise and figure out how to use the back end. Um,
got it. So, if
yeah, that's
you want to kind of learn how to do it, the best bet would be to contact somebody like you or just to,
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. We we help our yeah as a advertiser and organization that focuses on this, we get a direct rep into Facebook and Twitter.
Hmm.
Um, but non-agencies don't get that privilege usually.
Oh, well,
Um, yeah, so it sometimes can be difficult to navigate, but we want to try and make it as easy as possible. Some of this stuff is basic, and when you get into to using it, um, you, you can start to figure it out. And there's plenty of documentation out there as well. Another example of the ridiculous power of hashtag is where we were promoting one of our clients' appearances at a trade show, and we included the hashtag, and it got 28,000 impressions. And we were a little confused because the engagement wasn't high. You can see there was only 5 retweets, and that's not enough retweets to generate 28,000 impressions. So what happened here was a clear example of how that hashtag was so powerful for this particular promotion. We actually got a very high impressions because we injected this right into that community using the hashtag that was being very heavily used at the time, and then people engaged with it. So even an ad that's not very engaging, if you're able to inject it into the right conversation using a hashtag, you can see that it's going to work incredibly well for you.
I find it very interesting that Twitter and Facebook, these social media programs have basically changed the way that we advertise and the way that we talk to our audiences, our target audiences.
Absolutely, it's incredible, and to me, I think that it's the better way of
Absolutely.
advertising.
I agree. It's engaging people on a personal level and really kind of connecting communities, which is really cool.
For sure. You can see that it's now more the people now have the power
Hmm.
because they're making the decisions on how they want to be advertised to.
Yeah.
So instead of those terrible TV ads that I remember when I was a child that I had no interest in listening to, I find myself more and more looking at the advertising and saying, hey, that's exactly what I'm looking for. That's what I'm actually interested in.
Well, it's interesting too because with TiVo, I mean, thank God for social media. Otherwise, companies would never be able to advertise, right? Because you just skip over all the commercials on TV now.
Exactly. And so it's great because the
They're
power
thinking
of the
they're lucky
people and
stars.
exactly. And now it's forcing advertisers to actually create quality advertising.
Hmm. That's great.
So these hashtags, silly as they are, they're not dead and they're very, very powerful targeting mechanisms for increasing the visibility of your ads. So if you can inject a hashtag into your ad, it's going to make it that much more visible and could make it hugely visible depending on which hashtag you're able to piggyback on. So we'll move to number 4. This is, I think that you guys are going to find this really very interesting because it's a very, very powerful strategy to use. Increasing the commercial intent of social ads by using in-market segments. You may or may not know search engine marketing as in advertising on Google or Bing or Yahoo. The best thing about these platforms is that commercial intent is so high. People are searching for a preference or service, and you can advertise directly at the moment of intent. So you end up with very, very high conversion rates. So if you're hungry for a pizza, you search pizza delivery, chances are you're ready to buy a pizza. Now, that is not as high on social platforms like Facebook or Twitter because you aren't just casually browsing your timeline, not necessarily looking to buy something right at that second. What you can do to increase the likelihood of commercial activity is to narrow the targeting using the notion of in-market segments. So here you can see an example that I use. I pulled it up for our company. So what does this mean, this in-market segments, and how does it work on Facebook, and how does it work on Twitter? Well, Facebook has partnered with data companies like XCOM and DataLogic, and what they have is everyone's purchase history. So they know what the last 1,500 things you bought, like diapers. They know a lot about you from your credit cards. They know a lot about you from your loyalty card purchases. They match them up with phone numbers and email addresses associated with your Facebook account. And then marketers like me can target you if you're exhibiting a certain purchase behavior and put my advertising in front of you. So here's one that we personally use for marketing War Room's business, and it has to do with people who have recently purchased digital marketing services on the credit card. It's an audience of, as you can see, about 4.3 million people, and it's a very valuable audience for me to go after because people who purchase digital marketing services on their credit card are more likely to buy another one, such as War Rooms, as opposed to people who have never paid for digital marketing services, right? So bringing this over to the restaurant industry, it's a very interesting way of increasing conversion rates by narrowing the targeting according to purchase behavior. And of course, you can also do this in Twitter. It's actually the same companies that they partnered with, DataLogic and XCOM. And here's an example of purchase behaviors of people who have recently purchased coffee. And this particular advertiser is targeting an espresso ad. So they're selling espresso to people who have recently bought either K-Cups or some other coffee-related items. You could run a list of people who have recently purchased takeout, delivery, or catering, recently put catering on their credit card, and think about how powerful this information could be for your advertising strategy. So you run this list, you have all these people who have just purchased catering, you're now going to target them directly on Facebook and Twitter. And there's so many lists out there, and there's thousands and thousands of different types of categories that you can stack on top of each other, that this is a really powerful way of finding that needle in the haystack, if you will.
That's great.
So number 5, this will be the last one for today. And this is all about demographic targeting. So you may or may not know that Google AdWords, there's demographic targeting like gender, by age, income, parental status, that kind of stuff. But in Facebook and Twitter, it goes so much further than that by providing a treasure trove of demographic targeting options. And what do I mean by this? Well, it could be like, have you done charitable donation recently? Or what is your level of education or your household size? Or what type of company do you work for? Are you a pharmaceutical rep? How long have you been living in a current house? Do you even own a house? There's so many to talk about. There's actually over 2,000 of them. And I think, again, if you know something about your target market, which I know all of you do, if you know something about your target market, if you know your target market well, there's probably a lot of signals that you can find about this target demographic on Facebook and Twitter that will allow you to target to just the right people. It's an incredible strategy here.
Oh, great, yeah.
And here's one for Facebook that's extremely powerful for restaurants. It's targeting based on life events. As a restaurant doing catering, you know that a lot of your catering purchases can be related to special events. Outside pharmaceutical reps, special events like a 5-year anniversary, a bar mitzvah, or your birthday party. So, being able to target based on these life events, like a death in the family or a new baby, this is very, very powerful way to get in front of your target market in a very economical way. And you can see there from the slide just some of the life events that I pulled up there. And that is incredible. And we see incredible amount of results by being able to target like that, especially if your product or service can be related around a life event.
That's perfect. I mean, that's exactly what we need. So a lot of people are using Facebook and Twitter, but do you find restaurant companies, that is, or just companies in general, do you find that they're using it at like 10% capacity of what they could be using it for?
Yeah, I find that people are using about the same percentage as science has proven we use our brains. And it's a pretty low percentage, and that there's so much there to open up
That's great.
and to take advantage of. Um, Most people, we get in and we see that they're using a very small percentage of it, and I think it just comes down to not fully understanding everything that's there. And even when we speak to our Facebook reps, they don't understand everything that's there. We're usually telling them what's happening, because they're constantly coming out with new updates and changing their technology. You really have to be using it on a daily basis to see all this stuff changing. Not only is technology changing so quickly, but the ones that are there, like Facebook and Twitter, they're trying to stay ahead of the game. They're trying to just stay in the game. And by doing that, they need to be constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And they want to be, they're all fighting for your ad dollars.
Mhm.
So Facebook and Twitter are always trying to fight for better targeting options, for better ways to get your ads in front of the right audience, because they want your business. And um, that competition is creating these really, really powerful tools.
Well, I think it's just unlimited, limitless in terms of Facebook. They have so many, they have every audience in the whole world. It's not like a magazine where you have to like find a particular magazine that's going to appeal to your target audience. I mean, they have everybody. What do they have, like 3 billion, or it's probably a lot more than that, for all I know. I mean, they have the most viewed platform in the entire world, right?
Absolutely.
It's so great. This was so exciting, Mike. Thank you so much.
So we have a bit of a summary. I'm not going to go through everything that we went here. I do want to mention what's going to be in the part 2, which is going to be social media remarketing. That is critical. I really recommend everyone at least sees that one, and custom audiences. Those two are super powerful. Remarketing has everything to do with targeting people that have already shown interest in your product or service. So people that have already been to your website, already thought about ordering catering, you can target those people specifically. Because why is that so powerful? People that have already shown interest in your product are hundreds times more likely to purchase it again or to purchase it. So being able to leverage that is huge. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad we decided to make this two webinars, because there is so much rich information here. And Mike, again, thank you so much. I think people are going to really enjoy this webinar when they view it. And here is your information: warroominc.com/catering. This is how our attendees can reach you to ask you some more in-depth questions or dig in a little bit deeper into their strategies.
Absolutely. Feel free to reach out. We would love to help you.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Again, thank you to our partners in education: PepsiCo, Monkey Media Software, Catering Insights, and all of our vendor supply chain partners, Patronics, Primary, War Room, of course. Thank you, Mike. Stellar, Intel, Punch, and Voice. We'll see you guys all next month for part 2 of our fantastic digital marketing expert webinar that we had today. Sorry, stuttered over that a little bit. For part 2 of the top 10 paid social media advertising hacks for driving off-premise sales. We'll do 6 through 10 next month. See you then. Bye-bye. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.